Welcome to Confident Connections, the podcast that helps you show up with confidence and connect with people on a deeper level. I'm Lisa Liu, and here we break down the small signals that create big impact, body language, presence, and the simple habits that help you communicate with ease, increase your influence, and magnify your impact. You'll learn how to make strong first impressions, build trust faster, and feel more confident in any conversation or setting. If you're ready to improve your communication skills and create connections that move your life and your leadership forward, you are in the right place. Okay, I want to give you a recommendation on something I've been using for years that tastes amazing, easy to cook with, heat stable, and tastes like chocolate donuts with 0 grams of sugar and 15 grams of protein. Are you ready for it? It is a bone broth collagen in the form of a powder, and I'm telling you, if you get the chocolate, thank me later, it tastes like chocolate donuts, although they do have other flavors if you don't care for chocolate. If you need a refresher on some of the benefits of collagen, it can help support metabolism, gut health, improve digestion. It can lower the risk of heart disease. It helps with arthritis and supports joints. It's even been known to help with hair and nail growth. If you're not on a collagen supplement and you're looking for a very high quality grass-fed variety, this is it. It's incredibly clean. It's incredibly delicious. No sugar, 15 grams of protein. I use it in recipes. I use it in my coffee. I use it in my smoothies. It's unbelievable. You can go get it at lisaluimpact.com/bone broth. That's lisaluimpact.com/bone broth. It's also down in the show notes. Try it, and I want to hear back from you. What did you think? lisaluimpact.com/bone broth. Hello, and welcome to episode number 1 of the Confident Connections podcast. I'm super excited to get this podcast kicked off. If you followed me in my other podcast, for 3 years, almost to the day, I had a podcast that was called Fit Life in Midlife. And actually, that was the third name of that podcast. I changed it a few times, and I loved it. And I loved what I was doing. But really, over the course of this past year, I've leaned more into communication and connection in particular within the leadership realm. And that particular podcast name was beginning to feel like a coat that was just a little bit too tight. It didn't quite fit anymore, and I didn't want to change the name again. And I thought, you know what, this is a great time to either take a pause, which is what I thought I was going to do, or to just go ahead and stop completely, take a breath, gain some new perspective and some fresh insights, and begin again. And that's what I've decided to do. New podcast, new title, new direction, and I could not be more excited. I thought a lot about what does episode number 1 need to look like, and I think it's appropriate to take you back with me just a little bit into my childhood and why this particular topic, connecting, really being the charismatic and influential person that I believe God intended every single one of us to be, why that's so important to me. As a student of John Maxwell, if you're familiar with any of his books, if you're in the leadership space, you probably have a bookshelf full of John Maxwell books. But John Maxwell has a book, and it's one of my very favorites of his, and it's called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And nothing could be more appropriate in my mind. The book is phenomenal, but the title alone says everything. We all communicate every single day. Sometimes we communicate good. Sometimes we communicate not so good, but we're always communicating. We're also going to be talking in coming episodes about body language, those nonverbal communication cues and signals that we throw off. It's a newer passion of mine. I'm newly certified in it at the beginning of this podcast, but it's something I've been fascinated with for so long. So I thought, you know what? I want to know more. I got my certification, and it's such a perfect, it ties together so much of what I do so well, because I talk a lot about verbal communication, but that nonverbal communication makes up for 55% of how we relate and communicate with one another. So it just made sense to me to really understand it a bit more. So I want to kick off this episode, and these episodes overall will be pretty short. That's my goal, is to give you nuggets, bite-sized pieces of information to take with you throughout the day to make just one small shift every time you hear it to help you be 1% better in your communication, in your leadership, in your relationships, in how you connect to other people. So growing up, I was raised by a single mother. My father left when I was 2 years old, and it was just me and my mom. We went from Indiana to Kentucky to Massachusetts, all by the time I was 4 years old. At 4 years old, my mom decided to come down to Louisiana. We were actually only using this as a pit stop as we were going to continue to go to, I believe it was Oregon, to go to what she calls a Christian commune. And as I'm saying that, I'm putting it in air quotes because anything that ends with the word commune, I don't know, it sounds a little sketchy. But anyway, we ended up staying in Louisiana where my uncle was stationed. We were coming here to visit him. We ended up staying and building a life. She remarries when I'm about 8 years old. When I'm 14, they have my sister, Jessica, so she's my half-sister. And if you follow me on social media, you know Jessie well. We dance together on social. Jessie has Down syndrome. She is such a light. She's such a joy. But Jessie comes into the picture and her dad leaves when she's 2. So I tell you that just to kind of set up the volatility that was my childhood. By the time I graduated high school, I had lived in, probably by that point, over 40 homes. I just know that by the time my husband and I got married at the age of 24, I had lived in 55. So maybe it was closer to 50 by the time I graduated high school. And I want you to just wrap your mind around that for a moment. We moved so often that I got to where I didn't even unpack anymore. I lived out of boxes. What comes along with moving a whole lot means a whole lot of new neighborhoods, new schools, new people to get used to, new teachers, new playmates or not. So, the question that naturally comes to mind is, why did y'all move so much? Were you military? We were not. We were just unstable. I mean, full transparency, we were. There was always a house that was less rent or a better neighborhood, or this one was closer to a school, or this looks like a better school, so let's move to a neighborhood over here. It was so many different reasons, but what that brought about in my life was an unbelievable amount of insecurity when it came to making connections, because I was never anywhere long enough to really make those strong connections with people. Communication was something I didn't understand very well, and I think a lot of us growing up don't, but we begin to understand who we are through our family and our friends, those who were around the most. Well, I wasn't around any kids for very long. It was always a new set of friends. It was always a new neighborhood and a new school. And so what that forced me to do in time is to get really good at reading people really, really quickly. I remember a friend of mine in Sunday school class, I think Randy and I, that's my husband, I think we were just dating at the time, but I remember we were in Monroe and we were in Sunday school, and my friend saying, "You have a discerning spirit." I'll never forget those words because I thought, wow, you find me to be a discerning person? That meant so much to me. But years later, as I reflected back on that, I thought, I am discerning, but I think it's because I was forced to be. I had to get used to understanding when someone had good intentions or ill intentions, when someone wanted to have conversation when they didn't, when they were closed, when they were open, when they were an ally or someone who would become a bully. Maybe I could tell these things a little bit earlier than some others because I just had to kind of survive socially. So that's a little background about why I'm passionate about this topic. I feel like I have a lot to bring to the table because of what I've learned, because of what I've studied, because of what I've taught. And at the same time, I still have so much to learn, and I'm really, really excited about that. One of the things that I love about John Maxwell is he's a lifelong learner, and that's one of the reasons I attached myself to him. Knowing I have so far to go, I think in any circumstance that could feel very overwhelming. But what that tells me is I have no time to sit on my laurels. I still have so much to learn. So my hope is that, yes, I can impart some wisdom and some nuggets and some knowledge, but that this is a journey together. I don't claim to be the end all, know all, be all of everything communication. Everything that I do know, I would love to share with you, or at least pieces of it, but we're on this journey together. So I want to thank you for listening to episode number 1. I hope you will find this a binge-worthy podcast, and I would love if you would share it with a friend. This is just getting kicked off. I'm brand new, and I need your help as a partner in this with me. The best thing you can do for me is to leave a review on Apple Podcast and to share it with those that you think it would bring value to. So thank you ahead of time for partnering with me. Thank you for choosing to be on this journey with me. I'm so excited for the road ahead, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And I will be back here next week, and we're going to do it all over again with some really practical insights and tools that I cannot wait to share. Until then, have a wonderful week. Bye for now.